And we have a short-lived first alert here for commuters this morning. Everything last night that was wet refroze, especially on untreated surfaces, residential roads, decks, sidewalks, stairs, parking lots. So it's slick underfoot and when you actually get into the car. Snow totals yesterday mostly were between about 1 to 3 inches. Canaan came in at 3.5 inches. Elsewhere on this list, between about 2 and 2.5. Tallinn, Willimantic, Norwich, Clinton, and Killingworth. Now, as we get into the later part of the morning here, we'll see a bit more sunshine develop. Here's a live look on our iCam right now in Middletown. Earlier this morning, the camera lens itself was completely iced over. We're beginning to see some improvements. Our iCam in Hartford also showing the bright skies, 19 degrees in our capital city right now. But what we cannot see is the sheen on the roadways. Black ice certainly a big part of the conversation. There's very cold air built in across most of the U.S., most of the continental U.S. It's 2 in Minneapolis right now. It's 4 in Chicago and Cleveland, 9 in Buffalo, 7 in Louisville, 4 in Memphis, Tennessee. Locally, temperatures are between about 10 and 20 degrees. And with the wind, it's going to feel more like the teens throughout the day. But even with temperatures only topping out in the 20s this afternoon, the sun is going to help to melt a lot of what is sitting on the roadways, which is great. We'll see improving conditions later today and into tomorrow. Here's our first alert futurecast through the remainder of the day. Not much to chat about. Tomorrow, a slight increase in cloud cover, and then by Friday, we will be watching this area of low pressure begin to develop somewhere in the mid-Atlantic, and this is going to have more of an impact on us beginning later Friday. Today, highs between about 24 and 28 inland, around 30 at the shoreline, but still mostly topping out in the upper 20s. Mostly sunny, breezy. Tonight, temperatures will be between about 10 and 20 degrees, even some single digits in the typical colder spots. On the first alert 7-day forecast here, flurries are possible tomorrow, but the greater risk for some light snow showers arrives later on Friday. So this is your first alert to perhaps another period of slick road conditions, low visibility, but it's short-lived. And as we get into the weekend, we certainly are more focused on the temperatures here. Blustery on Saturday, temperatures only in the 20s. Blustery again on Sunday. Saturday morning, wind chill values could be at or below 0. Sunday morning, it's going to be feeling more like it's around 0 with single-digit temperatures pretty much statewide. Once we get into next week, though, there are some signals that things will change. Even along the shoreline, we're only forecasting highs to be in the mid-20s throughout the course of the weekend. The last time the Hartford area had a high temperature less than 32 degrees was back in February 25th of 2023. The last time the low was less than 10 was back in February 26th of 2023, and we'll certainly see both of those streaks come to an end, not only today for the high, but especially as we get into the weekend. GFS and the Euro, the American and the European model, both showing some light snow showers possible Friday morning, but we're focused more on the evening hours on Friday. That's when we see a greater risk of some snow showers developing. They appear to be fairly light and move out quickly. By Saturday morning, we're back to dry. Accumulated snowfall between the two models, pretty unimpressive. In fact, most models showing that at most we could be talking about an inch with that. So we're not really too concerned about it. A bigger concern heading into the weekend is certainly the cold, feeling like it's below 0 Saturday. So, Kate, this is your first alert to keep the winter coats nearby through the weekend before we warm things up later next week.